Crazy day. Podcast crew, miscommunication. Thought we were supposed to be here tomorrow. Not sure what I got, but we'll fix it. But I got special guests. Got Evan, carpenter, who's on within the community. He'll introduce himself in a moment. Also, I got my son, but that's not why you guys are here. You guys clicked on the video because I'm talking about, is putting your baby daddy on child support a good idea? Now, for mainstream media, most people say, hell yeah, man, put your baby daddy on child support. That MFer needs to be put on child support, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to give a few reasons why it's not a good idea. And without further ado, I'm going to start with a video that kind of points to how the child support system is a for-profit system. Do you understand that? It's a for-profit system. They do not care about your child or the well-being of the family. So again, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this plan. And we're getting it going. All right.
There are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. So it's so innocuous when I tell you, be like, this is a great program. But like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid, right? So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support. That's why almost all divorces got 50-50 prior to the 1980s. And there was this skyrocketing of divorces where one parent loses custody. And that was to maximize Title IV-D reimbursements to the states. In Texas, it's $500 million to the Texas budget.
If the state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement.
So, and let me go to this screen here. Okay. So with that, in YouTube world, you hear that, right? It's a for-profit system. Yep. For every dollar that's paid, there's a judicial fund, so much cents go to another fund. As you stated there prior time, divorces always happen. It's nothing new. Mm-hmm. But it was generally accepted that 50-50 was the best interest of the child. Because being with the father and the mother 50% of the time for each parent allowed the child to get the best development. And of course, more than likely, they were able to move on and, reestablish relationship. Now, I have my eldest son right here. Unfortunately, I'm no longer married to his mother. I was put in the child support system. I wanted 50-50. I did. I wanted 50-50. But they would not. It was such an uphill battle to get 50-50. It was almost, I didn't have the money or the resources to keep pushing that, even though there was valid proof that I was there the entire time. I've taken care of my children, taken care of the household, did all of that. But because I no longer want to be in the marriage with his mother, no disrespect to his mother. I could say a lot of bad things, but I'm not doing that. But I wasn't able to get that. And as I learned more about this devilish ass system, she put me on there. She pushed to have me on child support. So like, son, so from your standpoint, okay, and just being real, how do you feel? Do you think it would have been better if you could have just been with me 50% of the time?
I do believe so. I believe a child needs both parents in their life so they can grow. But my honest to God standpoint on this is it's a very gray area because it depends on how much one person is providing to another. You know what I'm saying? It's a different situation if, let's say, the mother was making, this much per year and yet she can't be in the lives, and yet the father is making a little amount. Do you know what I'm saying? Yet they need more financial support. Yet I still believe that the child should have both parents in their life. But I think the way the child support system is created is a little messed up, but I do understand the concept, and I kind of agree with the idea of. But I feel like
you agree with the child support system
to a certain extent. I believe certain things like marriage, when it's handled by the government or when it's handled by that, is when it's taken out of proportion, such as like the child support system. But when it can be, if it's not like, it's like if the parents can't come to a consensus or a conclusion with each other, then it's honestly just out of their control. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you take it into the control of the government, and that's when child support comes in.
Well, just to make you aware, if YouTube or if you're not tracking this, with child support does not care about visitation. Think about that. Because sometimes money isn't always a solution. I want to make you aware of that. Because there's guys who pay a lot in child support but spend zero time with their children. And it's been proven that spending time with your children is just as much, if not more important than how much you're able to financially provide. But they don't care about that because it is a for-profit system. It's a for-profit system. And I hate to say this, and I know it may sound counter to what's been pushed in the mainstream, but if a woman gets with a man and this man does not want to take care of their child, even if you put them through the system, it doesn't work, because if you're not going to take care of your child, you're going to find ways to not take care of your child. You'll work under the table. You will find ways to get money and not report that income to keep, because you don't care about taking care of your child. So it says more about the woman who decided to have children with a man that they can't be with. So I feel like that is, and I don't want to talk over you, son.
No, you're fine.
But I feel like that the child support system, when it's for profit, I understand at the time in which it was created, there was a high influx of when women got divorced, that they were left in poverty. So I get where you're trying to come from. Where like, if the woman's not making much and the men making more, the men was able to go on their lives and do well, but the women were suffering. So it's like, oh, we got to come up with something. Yeah. But I can't reconcile why there's a judiciary fund, an amount being paid for every dollar that's paid in child support. It doesn't make sense.
That's wild.
Yeah, and what do you think, Evan? I mean, I know you don't have kids, but
I've never actually even heard of that. This is the first time that I've heard of that. It was just kind of wild. I've never heard that. I had no idea. I know people who owe money, still owe money, haven't paid, hasn't worked well for the people who have tried to use it and whatnot. Like, the fathers still owe back to child support out the wazoo. They're not going to get it. They can work under the table jobs, like you said. I know people who have worked under the table jobs, and I used to work at a factory, and one of the things that used to blow my mind sometimes is when, like, because some of the guys that worked there would be on child support or whatever, and I remember there's this one guy who had like 4 kids, and he probably worked like 65 hours that week, probably plus some, and he was excited to get $95 on this check.
My goodness.
And I didn't even know that was I was that like, he was so geeked. Man, I got $95. I don't understand that. That was wild. It just blew my mind. Like, man, it stinks.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Now that you bring that up, I had a situation where, and this is where, like, with him, I was with his mother, and I had got put on child support. True story, guy. So got put on child support because she was utilizing the system. So they pretty much forced her at the first. This is before we got married. I got put on child support. So I was like, cool, don't worry about it. I went there, gave all the information. They said you had to pay $425 a month. I'm like, golly. But I'm thinking, it's cool. I'm with her. She could just run the money back to me. So I totally forgot about child support. I started this job. I was working at ABX Air, and I'm working. And next you notice I got my check. And I looked at my check, and I remember I was cursing. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, man, I've been working all these hours. My check was like $200. And I'm like, I'm going off on a boss.
Now you got to live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I looked at the thing, and it was like CSEA, like deduction. Cause I was about to have a meeting with HR and everything. Like, you guys screwed my check. And then I mean, it was like such a humble pie I had to take. Ate that pie, went back. And the only way I got off, I ended up marrying her. And when we ended up divorcing, they opened back up that same child support case that I had you on, and put me right back on there in the system. So it's always a blessing that you're grown and you're off that shit. But beyond the financial point, there's a story that I want to point to you guys that does mean heart and mean a lot to me. That there's a lot of men who go through these financial issues and they end up self-deleting. And I think that people don't talk about that enough, because You know what? Let me just go to the video, let you hear the story. Shout out to Shissa Zed who initially brought this up, and let me just let it play.
Story here. Okay? I'm a repo guy. Mm-hmm. I don't hide it. I had a scenario that I've seen time and time again, not necessarily in Ontario where I live, but in Alberta. And a particular file I was working. He was working oil and gas. The boys made a lot of at one point in time. This guy was making in excess of $140,000 a year. The economy goes for shit. Oil and gas goes through the toilet. Buddy loses his job. Company shuts down. Does what he's got to do. Takes a job at $60,000. Well, that shit ain't good enough for the rig pig that he hooked up with.
Right.
2 kids. She buggers off. Goes to court. I want child support. Your Honor. Last year, he made $140,000. That is what his child support is based on.
Wow.
He can't afford that. Nobody can. Because he went from $140,000 to $60,000.
And by the way, that's not half. That's less than half. Not half. Less than. So keep listening.
He's doing the best he can. He loves his kid. So, he's got some decisions to make. Make his truck payment, his insurance payment, his house payment, whatever other payments he's got to make.
Right.
First one he stops is his insurance payment. Driving with no insurance. Risk it. The second thing, he loses his place to live. Now the guy's living in his truck. Yep, I am going to get a lot of hate for this, but it is my job and it is what I do.
By the way, I think how he came to find this story is
Woman's gone. She's got the kids, and he's got this financial obligation that he can't pay. Child maintenance now seizes his driver's license. Now he can't drive. Can't work because he can't drive. Can't drive because he's got no insurance, and he's got no license. Then he loses his truck. Now, I kept in contact with this guy because he was a really decent guy. Couple of weeks. A couple of weeks after I lost contact with him, I found out he...
Jesus. All right, so he deleted.
Okay, so we'll go back, and we do got a guest on the line. He didn't show up to the podcast, but he's here. And Steve, I'll put you on a minute. I don't know if you heard, but so just for YouTube America. This is what you have to understand. Women, if you're deciding to put your man on child support, understand this is a for-profit system. The system is not made for men who can't pay. It's made because it's incentivized to get men to pay. Do you understand? So if men are not paying, they go through such a hardship. And what I mean by that is that they will, as you heard with that man's situation, he was making a lot of money at one time, right? His situation changed. Now he's making less than half. He's still required to pay the full amount of child support. Hey, Steve, you mind muting yourself just for a moment till you're ready to talk? Just a moment, because it's playing. There you go. So they're not able to pay the same amount of child support. And I went through the situation when I was working overseas and I came home, wasn't making as much, went to child support. They said I had to go so many months before they would take my child support down. That it was incentivized for me to just try to find something else. They would not adjust it. So I can empathize for this gentleman. Luckily, I was able to get through and I had, money saved. But wasn't able to pay it. And then you decide in life. And son, I want you to understand, you don't have kids right now and you don't have those financial obligations, but understand that you have your car payment, you got your insurance, your phone, you don't pay rent and all that. Just imagine that now you getting something being siphoned out of your check. Yeah. You're getting siphoned out of your check. Now you got to decide, hey, do I pay this bill? Okay, now I can't pay my auto insurance. Now, you understand how it just gets worse. So this man went from owning his home, everything he built, living in his car, got his car taken away, then he self-delete himself. And I don't say the other word because YouTube will but people understand what I'm saying. And I feel like some women may say, I don't give a damn. I don't care. If he self-delete, he's weak or something. But it's like, for one, it's that's a very cruel thing to say because you're going to, of course, lose anything. Is what's more important is for the child to have the father. So when you're considering putting your baby daddy on child support, if you lay down with a dude who don't who care about your child, you have to take that L because you have many resources available for you. If you decide to not want to be a mother, you could put your kid up for adoption. You could do so many things, and you will not be ostracized from society for so. If a man say, "I cannot afford this child," we have no options. And if we get thrown in the system and then our life get ruined, just like how Evan just pointed out that he had a coworker who was excited about $95.
That was crazy.
Yeah, he was, oh my God, man, I got $95. You know, but Steve, what you got to say, man? I'm mad you ain't come, man. Go ahead.
No, man, y'all doing a good job, man. My bad. But listen, it's crazy how everything can be readjusted in this society. Everybody's getting rights. We got different bathrooms. We talking about trends in sports and all that, and we can't get child support looked at. We're not saying do away with it because we know in certain circumstances and instances it's needed, but we can't just get it looked at, just adjust it. It's crazy how a guy could be getting his whole check taken and $95 is left to his name to do what with. And you can clearly know they don't care about the child when it was the dad, because how can you afford a good standard of living for your kids when all the money is going towards the mom? If it's about the child's well-being, you need to make sure they're comfortable when they with both parents, not just one parent. So if I got $95, how can I afford a 3 or 4 bedroom home or rent an apartment if all my money is going toward the mom? You're just worried about the child's well-being when it's with the mom. What about when it's with the dad?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was in the best interest of the kid. But what Drew was saying, that clip he told was right. 66 cent per every dollar, man. It's a money thing, man. It's a money thing. Why you
Mm-hmm.
think they wasn't doing it before the 80s? Then they figured out they can monetize it, and next thing you know, they charging, you know what I'm saying, to enforce that. It's a child support enforcement agency. They get paid to do what
Mm-hmm.
they do. And to me, it's straight up bull. It's straight up bull. It makes men depressed. It makes them commit, whatever. It just totally needs to be revised. It's crazy how this works, and it's crazy how some people don't get it. Women don't care, man. They'll get their emotions as long as their bills taken care of, and as long as they got what they need at their house. They don't care, especially if they're emotional and y'all broke up on bad terms. They really don't care. You go get with another girl and you can see how quick you be on child support, man. Straight up.
Yeah, and just mute yourself for a moment. So this was crazy. You know what I think is going to take change? It's going to take women being put in the system. If more women start being put on the child support system and they're having to struggle, and because I've seen like wealthy women who are forced to pay alimony to their ex-husbands and they're like tripping, like, oh my God, why how could a man accept alimony or want child support? And it's a problem when men do it because but women have been doing it for so long. And I feel like that men have been crying out. They've been self-deleting. They've been going through this entire process. And as he said, the Child Support Enforcement Agency, they enforce just to get this money because they're more concerned about that dollar. It's incentivized. They don't care if you spend time with your child. There's nothing in place where it's forced me to have to go pick up my children, talk to them, spend time with them, raise them, guide them. That does not matter to them. That's why if you went to child support and you say, hey, I'm trying to get my visitation, she won't let me see them. You know what they're going to say? This ain't the courtroom for that. We're only here to discuss money. Because that's all they care. And I had it happen to me with his mom. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get this visitation. They was like, this ain't the place for that. You got to go somewhere else. You got to file. I'm just like, what? So, and again, I was young. And of course, as men, we have to take ownership. You know, you go, dive into something. You have to understand that there's a cost. And I believe that as a man, you have to take care of your responsibility. I believe that, but I also know that if a woman laid down with a man who decided not to take care of his child, there's nothing you could do to force him to take care of his child. You know what I'm saying? And this is what started me thinking this podcast. This person made a post that a woman who put a broke man on child support is miserable because you're not going to get nothing. You go through all the course, but you're going to get like $50 a week or something, if that $50 a month. And then if he fall behind, his life just gets progressively worse. at that point, is it just better? Hey, if you just come spend time with your child, y'all have a relationship. I care more about that. I hate that you can't take care of your child, but you know what? I messed up because I laid down with you. I laid down with you, and I got this woman I want to play. This will be the last video; it won't be too much longer. But this is the type of woman. Excuse me. These are the type of women who want to put us in the system.
And they get to him. They like, well, sir, well, what about your employment? Oh, I just got laid off my job, and which you probably got fired, because this is not the first time. Like, I know this nigga like the back of my hand. Can't keep a job. He used to quit jobs because his knees would start hurting. Like, it was always the excuse. Never was a man. Never man up to do anything or take care of any responsibilities he had to. Oh, he's telling them he just got laid off from his job. He's in the process of getting another job and all this. Woo, wooty, 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 woo. It comes down, the lady saying like, okay, child support a month is going to be $416. So when she said that, that broke him. Like, I heard the shakiness in his voice. Like, he like, what the fuck? So he like, well, I just don't think she's listing all her incomes. Bitch, it's not about me. You ain't calling to put me on child support, dumbass nigga. Why the fuck are you so concerned about my income when you don't even have...
And it just to go back, everybody could chime in on this. Just a little bit information about the content creator that I just played. She is an OnlyFans model. Very beautiful young lady. If you look at the video or go to her channel and then follow her Instagram, I mean, she has like the baby daddy levied a very good claim. Like, hey, she makes a lot more than what she's letting off. And of course, she don't have to report it, so she go in there and play the victim and do all of this. But if you look at her content, I mean, she just like, I was just like, oh my god. Yeah. And then I realized that if you hear her complain, she said he's never been a good dude. He never did. He can't keep a job. He did all that, but you had a child with him. Just think, who do you blame at that point?
It seems more like a personal attack than anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like it's about the kid.
It's not about the kid,
Yeah, no.
but she doesn't take ownership either, because again, you know, the dude can't keep a job. You know, he ain't even the type of dude that, you know, you should have had a child with. I'm not telling you can't lay down with somebody, but when you bring a child in this world, it's something that you really need to think about. Like, man, how is this person going to be? Is this person going to stay here? Is this person a good person? Whatever. Like, it's so many factors that need to be taken into place, but she didn't take that into place. She knew all this shit. That's why she able to talk about it freely. And the video's bad. I don't listen to the whole thing, but I just, for women out there who want to put your baby daddy on child support, I know there's some men who, you know, who are bad and you lay down with, and I just feel like there has to be a level of ownership that you take, and the way to get away from the system is to stop using that system. If somebody decides to walk away from your child's life, let them. God will find a way for that child, for his needs to be met. But if you utilize the system as a tool of anger and like, oh man, you walked away, you shouldn't have did this, it's like, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. But also there were red flags in his behavior that showed you he was going to do this. Regardless of what my ex-wife and I went through, son, can you contest that I've always been there?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you have any child support money ever came in your pocket physically? No. But do you ever feel like when you was with me, you went without?
Huh?
You ever feel like with me, you went without? Like you didn't get clothes, shoes,
No.
all the new items spoiled. You had it all. And the biggest things, do you feel that I guide you at? Was it because of financial, or do you feel it was more them lessons, me talking to you, guiding you, doing all of that?
And that, do you mind if I give my point?
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
So that's where I see from both sides of the perspective. Obviously, from a man, you lay down with a woman like that, and you can't be really surprised. And sometimes you have to take accountability for some such, but you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know I'm going to be put on this and that. But that's where I think like the system has been perverted, because it's a good idea, but the idea was perverted. Because honestly, it's like you said, it's a financial aspect. It's not even about the child anymore. It's about how much I'm gonna get. And when you, like with the point that you made where it was like, when you're using it as sort of like a punishment, like, okay, you don't want to do this, so I'm gonna take all of your money. And honestly, what I've realized is women, some, not all women, but majority of them really don't care about who you are, like who you are and what you do and how you feel. And society really doesn't care. It just cares about what you can provide. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's terrible, but it's the thing that just the place that we live in. I honestly think we should either do away with child support and find out another way to be able to find a way to support, because there's a way to support a child without solely financial. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are some things that you've done that even just living here has helped me out in so many different ways, even just like guidance and all of the different things, because a child needs more than just finance. Now, obviously it's helpful, but you can see from the other side of perspective where it's like, if the mother's struggling, and we all know the state of the economy right now, and the other person is, you know what I'm saying, flourishing, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to give you anything, you figure it out, and they live with you. That's where I can kind of see where the child support can come into, like, a finance. Now, that's if the father's not doing anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, I'll just throw you $200. All right, just do whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be in their life. I'm just going to throw money at it. That's going to fix the problem. That's where I see, okay, that's a problem. But if that person is trying to be in their life and they're buying stuff and they're actually caring, that's a different story. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel like, and I'm gonna say we can all give our little closing statements, and Steve, I'll bring you into last. But
so cool in here.
I'll say this: if a man turned on this and you're watching this, if you know, if you're making more than your woman, I just feel like that if a woman's complaining about not having enough, and I tell this to my ex-wife all the time when she complains, I say, give me the kids. Just like, I'm tired of this, with this amount, like, just give them to me. You ain't got to pay me no child support. Just give them to me. Only thing to be important is if you spend time with them and maintain a relationship. Like, I don't want, it ain't about money, because one person could be very bad with money, and no matter how much you throw at it, it's not going to fix the problem. So, you know, if somebody's complaining so much, you got to run down there. If the father is saying, hey, let me take the child, allow the child to live with me. And there's statistics, I don't have them readily available, but if you research, it's been proven that kids tend to do better living with their fathers. So if you're complaining, man, just let I know you were saying like, well, if the father make more, they're like, hey, you know what? Hey, X, you make more money. Hey, can the kids live with you? I'm struggling. I'm trying to pay bills. I can't do it. I don't want to keep running down to this court missing work. Can they spend time with you and I get visitation? Cool.
Yeah.
That would be so much better. But I think that child support should be taken, the incentives for other organizations to get paid, that should be taken out.
100%.
That should be taken out. That shouldn't even be an option. I think more incentives should be on visitation. That should be coincide together, and it should be 50-50.
Yeah.
And we need to establish where we need both parents in the system. It allow them to figure it out. Personally, I think government shouldn't be involved at all. But if they have to, because I know they're not going nowhere, we need to take it back and reduce it. And it's not going to happen until more women get put on this system and they start really going through it and they're vocalizing, they're complaining, they're saying, hey, I'm making, because you got a lot of women now who want equal rights, and they're getting paid just as much, if not more, than men. They out here working nursing, they're doctors and all that. Man, they don't want to be out here like paying this dude that they just slid and he got more time to take care of the kid, and you paying them all this money in child support. That's what it's going to take. More women complaining about this, because men been crying about this for years. They've been self-deleting. It don't matter. People may watch this video. Women may watch this video like, I don't give a damn. I'm putting my baby daddy on child support. And that's cool. You could do that, but you're a part of the problem. You need to be careful who you lay down with and have a child with. That's ownership.
Yep. And
there's so many tools in place already without child support that will make sure that you get your needs met. But Evan, what you got to say, man? Close with.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's crazy to me, like, the concept of being like, so say you make $50,000 a month or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna would they take that based off of the income? Is that how child support works?
Yeah. So it does. Yeah. So
if before that you made only like $2,000, say the year before that you only made $2,000 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it now You know what I mean? It's like that don't make no sense.
Yes, you ever see how like some people, like definitely athletes
Yeah.
and all them, they get put on child support for like an insane amount of money per month.
It doesn't take $20,000 to raise a kid.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole point behind it too. It's like, man,
Should be relative to the mother's income as well.
It should be relative to the mother's income. It should be relative to the needs of the child.
Yeah.
I mean, like the needs.
100%. That's exactly what
Yeah.
it goes back to versus it being a profit thing. Right?
Yeah,
And
because I've seen where now it's, and women know, like, man, if I slide the right one, man, I could be taking care of the rest of my for the next 18 years. I could be cool, and that right there in his thinking is why the system is broken. It needs to be changed. Like, I hate when I see guys who make a lot of money and be put on that system, and it's like, I don't even want to deal with you.
yeah, well, they bust their butt and they on the come up, and like, how are they going to keep going if
Yeah.
somebody's trying to drag you down by your shoelace, right?
Yeah, I mean, and as with the one gentleman showed, his situation changed. You could be up paying your child support just fine, doing everything, but if your life circumstances were to change and you literally like trying to get up on your feet and you're getting behind, you're getting your license taken, it is a runaway system and derailing the non-custodial parent, which happens to tend to be more men. And I think that alone should be enough to say, even if you don't like your child's father, you still laid down with this person. You still got somebody who look just like this person. Do you want them to be out here struggling, living under a bridge because they're not with you, because they can't pay you the amount of money? Like, you knew that before you laid down with them.
Yeah.
So Steve, go ahead and hit us with something, man.
I would say, man, y'all said a lot, man. To the young brother, your son right there, because I don't think that child support calculator is going anywhere. I think different states, the rules are a little different here and there, but the one thing that's the same is that goddamn calculator. That's why it doesn't matter how much you make, because they plug your number. Even if you make $1 million, $2 million, $5 million a year, look at Kim and Kanye West. Look at how much he pays in child support, and they both billionaires. Don't matter. They pull up their calculator, they crunch their numbers in, and then down the order comes. So for the young brother, I would say you damn near have to have a checklist and vet women you're dealing with, because there's no guarantee that you may not be put on child support. I don't wish that for you, but nothing's guaranteed. So sometimes you just have to ask these women these questions: how you feel about child support, and really watch how they act. And that's really the best you can do, man, because you get married, no one wants to go through divorce, but like I said, there's no guarantees that you would never get put on child support if you have a children and y'all fall out. So best thing you can do really moving forward, I think, is just have a conversation with her in the beginning, like see how she really act, her thoughts on it, because that's something important, man. That's your livelihood. You know what I mean? You can't thrive when you paying that much money in child support, and it's sad that you got to think that way when you talking to someone like, will she put me on child support? But that's just the truth of the reality. Two of my kids I got put on, one I didn't, so I'm 50-50. So, but hey, and I got off lucky. So, but yeah, man, I think you just have to really ask yourself, do you potentially see whoever you talking to, if you was to have kids with them, would they put me on child support? Would they use the kids as pawns? Would they let me see my kids? Would I have to go through all this? Think logically, man. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm gonna leave it to y'all.
Yeah, and listen, guys, if you guys found value in our content, you enjoyed it, you felt like you walk away, you say, hey, I'm not gonna put my baby daddy on child support. Like it, share it to everyone. Say, this is what I needed to hear. But even if you walk away and you still decide to put your baby daddy on child support, just consider there were a few people who talked to me in comments that wanted to come in. They weren't able to come on the show today, but they made some good points where they realized that it wasn't a good idea, and it was better for their relationship and co-parenting to not have that in the middle, and their relationship got better. They found out whatever the needs of the child, they made it work, and that was more important. But again, guys, thank you for watching the T.A.P. Miscommunication on the time today, but the original crew would be here. Hopefully, Evan, you'll come back, man.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back.
Hit the like, subscribe, share. Until next time, guys.